those of us who are buffering, it's probably because of that. Yay! Thanks,
Okay.
YouTube. So we're going to keep going because it'll all be recorded. So should
Right
we
on.
start? Should we start with some of the must-haves and get to talk about those, or where should we go first?
Let's do that. Let's talk about the songs that we're getting good responses to today.
Two. Okay, hang on.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, they were cool then, but we're still getting good responses to them now. That's what I try to do with my list. I'm not giving you tracks that were only hot back then. I'm giving you tracks that can still work for you today.
Perfect. Okay,
What do you have for your first one?
my first one is one that I still get requests for today from 1996 from Tupac, California Love.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, that's way
Still
up on my list.
still getting requests for this one. And it's not a great dance song, but
It ain't bad though. I
it isn't
mean, if you're
bad.
into hip hop, it's a lot faster than a lot of the hip hop stuff.
Yeah, but just the staying power, and then and it has kind of a little bit of a beat to it. It's just
Yes.
it's very surprising that how strong that song is.
It's very strong.
At a small, tiny little wedding, Saturday night, 20 people
Yeah,
there. This was requested, and
right.
the floor with 20 people, it was full. So
And a lot of it's familiarity. They know it, and it brings back memories too. A lot of that is what we're doing as DJs. We're bringing back those memories for people.
yeah, that's for
So
sure.
that gets them excited. If you were hearing the song for the first time today, you may not dig it, but if you were a teenager in the 90s or you just liked it in the 90s and you're hearing it now, it's pretty cool. So I get it. I
Hmm.
get it. I get why they would want to hear it.
Yeah. So that's my first one on my list. What do you got?
First one on my list, a lot of people, they'll ask for Ricky Martin's Livin' La Vida Loca. And if you
Yeah.
look on a lot of the lists of the top songs of the 90s, it's on there, but I never play it
Hmm.
because I don't get a good response from it. I go a different direction with Ricky Martin and I play The Cup of Life from
Oh
1998.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's a better song. It's easier to dance to, and people say, "Oh yeah,"
Hmm.
and they enjoy it. It's one of those forgotten classics from the 90s.
Yeah, for sure. Because I was looking on my list, and as I was paring it down, that Live and Live It Alone, it's like, yeah, I yanked
Yeah,
it out because I for a while it had its time, but
I didn't like it then.
yeah, we used it, but we didn't. It wasn't a favorite. But yeah, A Cup of Life would be a
It's
much
a
better.
much better song, I feel, and you can totally get away with playing it today.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh yeah," they don't hear it all the time. They may not have heard it since the 90s, so it's
Hmm.
pretty cool.
Good tune. Good choice of the two. I'm going to go to the end of the 90s with this one from the Venga Boys. We Like to Party came out in 1999. It was
Yeah.
released. They had two songs. What was the other one? Is it Boom?
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
Get
Boom
you
Boom.
in my room. Yeah.
Yep. They had two songs, but We Like to Party has been one that I actually I get requests a couple times a year at high school dances for
Yeah.
that tune.
Sure. Absolutely. That boom, boom, boom song was kind of in response to Paul Lakatos' Boom, 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 Let's Go Back to My Room
Hmm.
from the early 90s, I believe, which was a hot freestyle track.
Yep. That actually is on my. I got that one on my list also,
Oh,
but
you do?
in a different spot. That's more of a personal favorite.
Right on. It's a good tune.
Okay, what do you got next?
Next up, I'm going country. Nice slow song that works very well. I get a really good response from top 40 audiences, country audiences, young, old, it doesn't matter. And that's Still the One by Shania Twain from 1997.
Yeah, I was going to say somewhere in that mid to late. She was just so dominant
Yeah.
in the 90s. If you're a younger person and you really didn't experience the 90s enough to know what a strong influence country was during that time,
Mm.
I think you could kind of look back at country had during the kind of the John Wayne Cash, Tom T. Hall time frame, early the Conway Twitty, that time frame, there was a popularity, and then it seemed to kind of wane a little bit, especially with what we play. But boy,
Mm.
it come to the 90s, there were events, there were weddings where we were doing a 60-40, 60% country, 40%. And people were, because and I kind of correlated to country music at that time basically being like 50s, 60s music.
Right.
Very much so.
You had that crossover in the late 70s, early 80s. You had that crossover with Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
She was a big crossover artist. And, even earlier than that, if you go back and look at the Eagles kind of country rock stuff, but the first 90s country artist who I could really say crossed over and just in my brain here would be Shania Twain.
Mm-hmm.
She really crossed over into the top 40 stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
Yeah.
had some like serious dance mixes of her songs. And country was almost like a substitute for top 40 back then because for a while it kind of went away. And we'll talk about that later. What we knew as pop music vanished.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you had guys like England Dan, who we talked about a couple weeks ago in the 70s show, became Dan Sills, and he was using his real name in the 90s, doing the same songwriting style as he did in the 70s, but now he's doing it as a country artist. And people who like song and song structure kind of gravitated towards that.
Yeah.
They felt
Exactly.
disenfranchised by a lot of the gangster rap and a lot of the grunge stuff and even some of the energy stuff. So they went that direction instead. Weird direction to go in. You would think it would be like an adult contemporary thing, but no, it went country and it
Yeah.
went big.
It did. It did. Boy, there were country bars everywhere. Line
Yeah.
dancing was huge. So yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Good tune though. That's one of those staples that you can play at every wedding,
Mm-hmm.
and the crowd will love it.
What you got, brother?
Okay, I'm gonna pop up to that list again. In my I didn't put virtually any country in my list whatsoever because
Okay.
as I was looking at that, there's gonna be we could do 2 hours on that,
Show.
and
Sure.
I wanted to kind of stick with some of that. 1996, Marky Mark came out and he had the song "Good Vibrations."
96?
Somewhere that's when it charted, I think.
No,
What do you?
that song is a lot earlier than that. It's on my list, and that's like 93.
Was it 93? I think
It was right on the back of New Kids on the Block. And I think there are some sources who listed as 96 for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm just scanning through here. I'm pretty confident that song is, no, actually, it's 1991.
91. Oh, so it was even
It's a
earlier than that.
1991 song. It came in because Mark Wahlberg is Donnie Wahlberg's little brother. Donnie Wahlberg was a member of New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, he was the main one.
Yeah, and he was the one who's like, yeah, we're gonna hook you up with our producer or whatever, and you're gonna do track, and he did. And of course, the guy becomes the famous Wahlberg
Mm-hmm.
with acting and everything else. But yeah, the Funky Bunch was 91.
91. Okay, so a little earlier than that. Yeah, I was just going by the numbers I found and such. But a great tune that really, and we'll mix with some of the others that we're going to talk about. But just that high energy music that was kind of, it was either that or grunge. It seemed to be. That's what I remember from the 90s.
Well, what was interesting about the stuff in the early 90s, and we'll talk about the energy stuff a little later, is you had a lot of stuff that crossed over. So rap and dance music and top 40 music all fused. And this is a perfect example of that happening. And a lot of the hardcore hip hop fans, hardcore, I guess, dance music fans started to feel a little disenfranchised because it was going so mainstream. Kind of the same thing that happened with disco.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you got your whole gangster rap thing.
Yeah.
That's where it came from. The streets are reclaiming their sound because mainstream had taken it away.
Yeah, that it does.
And that was a phenomenon that happened in the early 90s, and we'll talk more about that later, but absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, what do you got next for us?
Well, I had it all lined up, but then I had to go cruise and see something.
Sorry.
Okay. No, it's all quite all right. Another Shania Twain song, another one I still play today, works very well. Any Man of Mine from 1995.
Mm-hmm.
This was a country tune. This was not a crossover song, but people know it. And it's a group active song in a way. Still a very strong song that you can play to this day for a mainstream audience.
For sure. That's when I'm with weddings. I have tried. When I do my early country set, I've tried different songs in that position, and as that hook song in a country set, I have not yet to find one really that it works better.
Right.
And here we are.
It's got staying power for some reason. It's
20
still here.
20 some years later.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just
amazing.
Crazy. Let's see. I had one that I wanted to. This is one that from Lou Vega went from with Mambo Number 5.
Yeah.
Now that has it's weird the staying power that this song has. I didn't like it when it first came out. I don't like playing it today.
I thought it was an interesting song when it came out.
Yeah, that you're being nice.
No. Okay, there was who was it who did I'll Never Be Your Woman. Who the hell was that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
That old jazz sample from the 1930s. Dun, 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 dun. And that's kind of what Lou Vega did with Mambo Number 5. I think the original Mambo Number 5 is from like 32 or 33 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a remix. So
White
that was
Town.
hot to take those old jazz tunes and sample them and do that at the time.
White Town is who
And
did
then
that.
Disney got a hold of it, and it was played on Disney radio. Probably appeared in Disney film. So it's very well known. It's good at schools. You can play it. It's a safe song, and there weren't a lot of safe songs back then that you could play.
Damn, that's a good point. Very good point. And it does, and it appeals across the board.
Right.
Good.
You don't have to get an edited version of Mambo number 5.
Yeah, not so much. Okay, what do you got?
Oh, my turn. Sorry.
Okay.
Everything I do for you, Bryan Adams,
God,
1991.
you're just romantic tonight.
Slow song.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get good ones for you.
Yeah,
We'll get into some hardcore stuff in a little bit.
I mean, here, I feel like I'm the mushy one, the last couple of weeks, and now this week I just kind of ignored slow stuff, and now you're just bringing it back.
No, it's not. Yeah, that's now it's my turn.
You're gonna be a
No, people know what they like it.
Oh yeah.
It was in the movie Robin Hood, where Kevin Costner could not speak with a British accent to save his life, so they just said, just talk like you're from Southern California. That's fine. But yeah, hot tune. The last great Bryan Adams song.
Yes. Well said. Well said. Let's see. I'm gonna go down to an oldie. Rex and Effects, 1992 with Rump Shaker.
Right on.
Now it's an old tune, but this is one of those songs that I think you need to have in your collection, because there are the times you get that right audience and you play part of that and they hear that all I want to do is zoom, and they're going to go crazy. It's that surprise factor. Big time surprise factor.
I haven't played that one in a long time, but I can definitely see where you're coming from on that.
Yeah, definitely one to have. You're not gonna play it often, but boy, it's there, and it could be a powerful song for you.
Beautiful song.
All right, next.
My next song is a song that they sampled Chic from. I talked about Nile Rodgers, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe even last week. I'm big on Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards. They did a song called Chic Cheer in the late 70s, and Faith Evans, and I think it was probably P. Diddy and all those guys, Puff Daddy, took it and they sampled it and made a song called Love Like This. So Faith Evans, Love Like This, 1998. And then a few years later, Kirkland Clan got a hold of it and they did Be Faithful, which was a sample of that song. So I do play that song, and it does get a really good response for those 90s R&B hip hop fans.
Interesting.
It's a nice song.
I love the when you're talking about the different, where the sources and things with the different songs, because I don't make those connections sometimes, most of the time. And then when you're talking about,
I hear it when I say, "Oh, that's Chic Shear,"
and then and then I go listen to it after you've done this for a few times and such, and it's like, oh yeah, that's where Brian. That does. He was right. Gosh, he knows his music.
Sample heavy in the 90s, and sample spotting is something I just love to do. When you're a music geek like me, you know stuff from way back. You'll say, "Oh yeah, okay," and you'll hear it. So yeah,
cool. Well, I'm gonna go back to 1991. This is one of those songs that you use to make sure that your subwoofers are functioning and your top speakers are functioning properly, because you're going to push them really, really hard. And that's Metallica's Enter Sandman.
Nice one.
This particular track, I have made more money off this particular song in my years of DJing, for the exact purpose of someone comes up and says, "Hey, your sound system's pretty cool. Can I pay you to play Enter Sandman for me really loud?"
Right.
Oh yeah. I can be bought with that one.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Well, I shouldn't say that. I like Metallica. I like old Metallica. The album Ride the Lightning is one of my favorites of all time. The Black Album was really good, and I like doing stuff off of that album, like Nothing Else Matters for a Ballad. I mean, you can totally get away with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. It's a great tune. Great tune, but that's
Metallica did a ballad. Who knew? You know?
Yeah, I think I stumbled across it one of the times when I hit the wrong button on the CD player back then. What's that?
What is this? Is it still the Metallica CD?
Yeah, did somebody switch it on me?
So I'm gonna go more R&B for my next one.
Yeah,
here.
what do you got?
I'm gonna go with the Blackstreet's "No Diggity" from 1997. You get that right crowd, and they're gonna dig it. It's a nice song.
Yeah, very good song.
Mainstream hip hop stuff.
Yeah, good tune. Boy, that was one I have completely forgotten about that on my list. wasn't
I
there.
got all kinds of stuff you forgot about because they
Yeah,
weren't on the greatest hits
that's the thing
list.
is, yeah, I got you get into when you're doing that club, you get into kind of the songs that work for you, and you try to
Right.
bring new things in, but you never bring in as much new. I mean, it really the times for about a month and a half, I tried to never repeat a song in the 5 days of playing.
Right.
So you would not hear a song the whole week repeated. Then you pushed yourself because you wanted to try to have a good night, but you wanted to make sure you had enough stuff. Anyway.
No, the comedians do that too. I've heard a lot of comedians who, they always say you end on your big bit, you end on
Hmm.
your strongest bit. A lot of comedians, if they want to challenge themselves, they'll start on their best bit and then they'll challenge themselves throughout the night to improve and do better and to work on their timing. And that's the kind of things we do as DJs too. If we start on our best song or our best songs are due, like you said, you're doing a week-long stint somewhere. Your first night, play all the best songs you have, and then you really challenge yourself.
To fill in the rest.
And you start digging and you
Uh,
start really thinking about the order of tunes and what's going to work in what order. It's not just a hand grenade or a bomb, a smart bomb like the video games. You press it and all the bad stuff goes away. You really have to work it, and that's cool to do that as a DJ.
cool. Go into kind of the bubblegum pop type of from I think it was 97 with Hanson when
Mhm.
they came out with Mbop.
Oh, you still play that?
That song is a weird little hokey thing, and it kind of fits in almost like the appeal of Barbie Girl.
Sure.
And they're the people they know it, and now I I have played it at high schools in the last 2 years. It's been played a few times. I've
Mhm.
just done a section of it
Right.
because I wanted that. But the kids are like knowing it, and they're jumping up and screaming and hollering, and but it's like goodness gracious.
If they know it, they know it, and if it's working, it's working. Go with it.
Yeah. So it's definitely one you need to have in your collection.
I'm gonna go with one from 1999. It's a forgotten hip hop song. It's a song that people know, but they kind of forgot about because they usually ask for the staples, and I want to throw them all out there right now. This is one they never ask for, and I play it, and they go nuts. And that's "Party Up" by DMX.
Oh yeah.
Y'all go make me lose my mind up in here. Yeah, I gotta follow that up with like "Old Dirty Bastard" with "Got Your Money" or whatever, and they're like,
Yep.
"Oh my god, no one ever plays this stuff." So
Uh-huh.
it's fun to go back and grab those tracks that they're not getting airplay, and DJs aren't playing them. You play them, and it's a surprise. It's that oh wow, out of left field factor. So I enjoy playing that track for the
Yeah.
right 90s crowd.
Yeah, you just took one of my favorites off the list right there. Thanks.
What DMX "Party Up" is one of your favorites?
No. The Old Dirty Bastard.
Oh yeah, that is a great song.
Yep. As we were talking, actually, this was in last night's show with Big Ron. Is he likes Monifa's "Touch It" was one of his
Oh
songs,
yeah, yeah.
and of course
With the laid back white horse sample.
that gets rolls right into. Those were two songs that I played.
And that's laid back's white horse. You knew that though.
Laid Back White Horse.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Now see, now I'll go listen to it, and it'll be like,
You go,
oh,
oh yeah.
well.
Oh yeah. Big Ron was talking about that last night.
Let's see. Okay, so we did Mbop. You're up next, right?
Oh no, I'm not. I just did Party Up.
Oh, Party Up. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm going to go, No Doubt, in 1995, had a couple of tunes. And both, left or right, with Just a Girl or Spiderwebs, both of them I had a lot of success with on the floor. And I
Mhm.
think with Gwen Stefani having, kind of a on again, off again, but just kind of a semi-consistent career, that there's people who like some of her throwback things from No Doubt.
Sure.
So it definitely would be something I would recommend having in your collection because it's again a surprise factor song that you can throw in a section of Just a Girl, and they'll be like, oh yeah, and the young ladies are bouncing and bop, especially because the young ladies who were in junior high school in the late 90s are now out there and they're not afraid to go out and party a little bit because their kids are old enough now they don't have to worry about their kids. So now they can go out and have some fun.
Do you know when I play that song? I
But-
played for the bouquet toss.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of girls just want to have fun or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm just a girl. It's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for a minute in the 90s, I was playing Garbage's "Stupid Girl," which was funny too. But I don't do that anymore because it's a little obscure. So yeah, I do. I'm just a girl for the bouquet toss.
Yeah, I think Stupid Girl would not be.
No, it was hilarious.
At least you weren't
in the
playing
90s.
Crazy Bitch. I mean, let's face it.
I got requests for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a buy. Oh, okay. What do we got next?
Friends in Low Places, Garth Brooks, 1990.
You are just staying
Gotta
country.
have it. Gotta have it.
Classic. A staple.
It's a staple. It won't go away. It's a group active song. You will get a few drunk slow dancing to it at the right party,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a must have. You must have this in your collection, DJ.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, really, Garth Brooks' greatest hits, when he came out with the greatest hits disc, that was just a fabulous disc from beginning to end for those of us who were into the country, playing a lot of country music at that time. Because he's got Friends of Low Places, the dance, it was hot for a slow song, although I ended up stumbling upon that at a wedding and turned it into a funeral for me, but that's another story.
What's next?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ugly Kid Joe. I think about 1992, they came out with Everything About You.
Yeah, I hate everything about you.
Yeah, I hate everything about you. It was again one of those kind of a surprise song that you can play when you're doing kind of a coming into it with a rock and roll set. You're using that as you know, like maybe the beginning of it, because it starts out with the guitar at the beginning of it, so that kind of sets itself off a little bit. But the people
I
who know
like
it are singing along and engaging the song, and that's what we really want to see out there.
I like it. That's an interesting choice. I like that one. I might try to work that back in somewhere. I haven't played it in a long time.
Yeah.
Next up, I'm going with a song that everyone knows simply because it's been the theme song to a show that I think has been on TV or at least in syndication for over 20 years now, and that's Inner Circle's Bad Boys.
Hmm.
And I use that one for the garter toss.
Ah, interesting. Yeah.
When the guys are walking around or whatever, the bad boys.
Bad boys, what you get? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, that's a neat. I've not used it there.
Another one that's cool to play, like if you have that crowd and you want to play it during dinner or cocktails or whatever, by the same band, Inner Circle, is called Sweat.
Yep.
That's a really cool one to have in your arsenal as well.
Yep, that was one that I had.
Oh,
I had on my list also, because that's, as you say, it's kind of that one's almost it's got a beat to it. It moves along, but it's kind of that sing along
yes, it is.
that they can sing along to that one very well.
Would you like to bounce over to a few favorites before we continue on
Yeah,
our
let's
list?
do that. Let's do that, because I've got some in here that that are probably a little bit different from the other.
Why don't we do like 4 and then we'll go back into our list and do 4 later? How's that sound?
Okay, we'll go back and forth and do the 4.
Yeah, yeah.
Dee-Lite with Groove is in the Heart
Sweet.
is one that I really like that one. I wish it would have a little bit better crowd response, because I'd like to use it more often. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it works really well, putting it around that Love Shack area, and but yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't.
It almost needs more of an early 90s build to spin it.
Yeah, yep. It really does. It's not definitely not a hook song to pull people out, but it can be a bridge in the right situation, if that makes sense. Bridging from a hook to.
When I was learning to beat juggle in 90, I guess it was, I went to the record store and that had just came out, and I bought 2 copies of it, and they're back here. I still have them.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned to beat juggle on that song. And the flip side of that 12-inch was a song called What Time Is Love. That's really good.
Interesting.
Now, What Is Love? I'm sorry, What Is Love? It's a really cool song. In fact, the whole World Click album is golden. Front to back, gorgeous listen. I love that album.
And yet there was only one hit that.
Well, mainstream hit, but there were several songs that were getting club play.
Yeah.
Like What Is Love got club play.
Interesting.
And a couple of the other ones. Some sexy stuff on there too. Really nice. And I was so in love with Miss Lady Keir. And I saw a recent picture of her, and I'm no longer in love with her.
She doesn't age well.
She didn't age well.
Okay, your first one of 4 here from your.
My first one of 4. One of my favorite artists from the 90s, and I can call him a 90s artist. He was going by the name Romeo Blue in the late 80s, and he ditched that name. He was kind of do like the Prince thing. It wasn't working out for him, so he decided to do his very own thing. Went back to his original name, which is Lenny Kravitz. I love Lenny Kravitz. And one of my favorite Lenny Kravitz songs is Are You Gonna Go My Way from 1993.
Nice.
But I only picked one Kravitz tune. I mean, the whole Mama Said album is gorgeous.
Yeah, he's got a lot of great stuff.
I stopped liking Lenny Kravitz when he did American Woman. That was like I
No,
don't like you anymore.
no.
I do like him, but I'm not a fan of the new stuff after that. He did do a really cool, it was on an award show or something. It's a really cool duet with Iggy Pop, I believe, of David Bowie's Rebel Rebel, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't buy it, but if you YouTube it, it's badass. There's another really cool YouTube video of Lenny Kravitz where they say he crashes a choir.
Yep, I saw that. I
Have
saw
you
that
seen
video.
that?
Yeah.
He gets on the drums. Lenny plays all his own instruments. You know, he's a privileged kid. I mean, his mother was an actress. She was there was that biracial couple on Good Times. The mom of that biracial, or the wife of the biracial couple, was his mother, and his father was a famous news anchor.
Hmm.
So he grew up with money. He grew up privileged, but he kind of does his own thing, and he really came into his own. He's a very talented musician. I think a lot of the guy. So
Yeah. Very cool.
Lenny.
Very cool. I'm going to go with one that Mitch just decided he was going to pull off my list here. Crystal Waters' 100% Pure Love
Sweet.
was
Crystal Waters.
one of theirs. I've got quite. It's interesting. I'm either kind of in a dance thing in this list, or I'm into the hard rock on this list of my favorites. But
I am all over the place on my list.
Crystal Water was
Nice.
one that definitely like to mix that in and use that an awful lot.
You know, I met her about 3 years ago
Hmm.
in Vegas, and I got a picture of me and Crystal. I don't know how old Crystal is, but that woman is perfect. I mean, we're right next to each other, like embracing and getting a picture.
Mhm.
Her skin is flawless. She's just a gorgeous woman close up. It's like, you know, sometimes they do a lot of camera work on people or whatever.
Right.
She's the real deal. She is absolutely a knockout.
Wow.
A beautiful woman.
Yeah.
And really nice, too. Really nice.
Cool.
Next on my list, here, one of my favorites. This song was recorded in 1987, and it was a spoken word poem of all things. And a couple of DJs from the UK, producers, whatever, they took that poem and they took a drum beat. I love the look on your face when I do this.
Yeah.
Like, where's he going with this?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Drum beat from something off of Soul to Soul's Keep On Moving album, and put this poem behind it and created a song called Tom's Diner, DNA featuring Suzanne Vega, Tom's Diner. And they did not have permission to do this. And the people, Suzanne's people, freaked out. They were going to sue, but they thought, no, let's make a deal with them. And it way outsold anything Suzanne Vega had ever done on her own. And it's a classic, and it's a beautiful track.
Yeah.
So DNA featuring Suzanne Vega's Tom's Diner from 1990.
Cool. I had forgotten about that tune too.
It's a great song.
1996, Barely Breathing by Duncan Sheik is kind of a personal favorite. Not dancey, just a nice listening kind of.
Sure.
It's got an energy to it, a power to it. So definitely one that I like.
Very nice. Here's a sexy one. And
I'm ready.
The last great Madonna song, Justify My Love.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of Lenny Kravitz gave her the song, and basically it's a Public Enemy drum beat and a poem by an artist named Ingrid Chavez, who Prince worked with for a while. They combined those two things and they made this track. It appeared on the Immaculate Collection album from 1990.
Yep.
Very hot track. Love that track.
Yeah, good tune. It was a great album.
Yeah.
Great album. This is going to be a twofer here.
Okay.
Because the song that I'm highlighting again on my personal favorites is "Show Me Love" from Robin.
Nice. Robin S.
Well, or Robin.
Oh, Robin.
Either
Show Me Love from Robin.
Either one. They both actually hit my favorite list at different times, because Robin S. I think hers came out first in like 93.
91.
91, 92. So yeah, earlier 90s. And then, because hers was a dance version, much more upbeat. And then Robin herself with a YN.
Right.
Robin was Swedish. Was she a Swedish musician?
Yes.
A little bit of a slower jam, but it was more of a sexy feel to the to the track. One
completely different songs, by the way.
Completely different. Yeah, liking them for two different reasons. One was a good.
No, but they are actually different songs. It's not a remake.
Yeah.
One's not a remake of the other. They're different tunes.
Yeah, different tunes across. They're just the artists were named similar and the songs were the same. But yeah, you've got a dance version with Robin S. And then you've got this kind of a late night. You play this thing as you want people to go buy a drink, and then you want to have them go propagate, so you'll have business in 20 years. So this was that song.
The one I love that she did, and I almost put it on my favorites list, but I didn't. But I'll go ahead and count this as one of my favorites. Is Robin's "What It Takes."
Oh
There's
yeah.
something about that song that just turns me on to this day. I love that track.
Wow, there's one
When
I
I heard
haven't.
that on the radio, I'm like, "Oh my god, Top 40's back! Thank you."
Wow,
And I love that track.
there's one I've got to go pull that up. I have not. That's
You remember it?
yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. But goodness
Yeah,
gracious.
gorgeous song. 1996, I believe, on that one, or 97. Might have been 97. Show
Yeah.
Me Love was the follow up to that one. That's why I mention it. But it's funny that you bring up Show Me Love because, yeah, I was really considering putting that one on my list. I
Hmm.
love that tune.
Cool. Cool.
So that's four.
Yeah. We had. I think we're up to you.
And now on with the countdown.
Do-do-do-do.
We're back to our list of Better Have It or Else. And it's your turn.
Okay, I can get us going here. Um, we're gonna go with one that's everyone knows. You've got to have it in your collection. It's kind of a no-brainer. Ice Ice Baby from Vanilla Ice, which that was a actually that was I think that was one of the songs that was actually on two albums of his, wasn't it? One in '89 and one in '90.
Well, it was released in 90.
It was released, yeah, but I think so. It
Yeah.
was
And it was the first, it was released on 12 inch
unless he
in
came out with
90.
a self published. I was reading about it today, and they were talking about that there was an album beforehand. But anyway, um,
That
90,
was the
90
first album that was released without, like, you could get the 12 inch of Ice Ice Baby, which we had, but that was the first album that was only released on CD. It was not released on LP. To the extreme.
Yeah,
It's the first time that was ever done.
interesting.
And Rob Van Winkle is the nicest guy you ever want to meet.
Yeah, yeah,
I
we got
spent time
actually
with Rob.
got to
He's
get to
afraid of
hang.
Sparky Bees. He's a sweetheart. The guy, forget everything you've heard about that guy. He's a sweetheart. Rob is awesome. Still my Facebook friend somewhere.
And I enjoy watching his remodeling shows now.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah. But no, he's cool. He's a cool guy. Him and I had a lot of talk about because we both have daughters the same age and just a nice guy.
Yeah,
A nice guy.
neat.
On
Oh,
my list, I have a song from 1992. I'm starting to ease it back in. I used to play it a lot in the clubs in the early 90s, but once in a while, I'll play it, and people will go, "Whoa, where did that come from?" And that's AB Logic's "The Hitman" from
oh,
1992.
yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
it's a gorgeous little song. You can cut the whole intro out. Watch out for the Hitman. Bam, 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 bam.
yeah. It's been that one's been a long, long, long time since. I bet I haven't played that since the bar days.
Well, pull it back out and throw it on sometime when you're in that vibe because it's working. It's one that I just pulled out about a year and a half ago, just because. And then it was requested shortly after that at another gig, and I thought, "Whoa, this tune's back."
Yeah,
So it's
interesting.
in
Yeah,
rotation.
I'm gonna go now. See, I'm gonna have my list of songs I've got to go listen to again. We're back.
Yeah.
We're back to that again.
What you got?
Blink 182 has actually had some legs or staying power with that, and they've had What's My Age Again is one that I my kind of my default one, but they had
Mm.
two that
All the
were.
small,
What was the other one?
all the small things.
Yeah,
Was that
small
it?
things. There we go. All the small
Yeah.
things. But a couple of they were really really popular, and in this I've had people come up and request some Blink, even as recently as last summer. So
It's retro
yeah,
for these people in their early 20s who are getting married and starting families. These are the songs of their youth, you know?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So Blink definitely one you want to have on the Freak Nasty. They're right now. They're just going through and
We're just
naming
going through
songs,
tracks.
and they're doing a great job. There's some really good stuff on there.
That yep.
Um,
Next on my list is a song that every divorced woman is going to just go crazy and dance to, and there's plenty of those. This is like the "I Will Survive" of the 90s and the 2000s, and that's Cher's "Believe"
oh
from
yeah,
1999.
good track.
Gotta have it.
Definitely.
And that's not a song you just throw on. That's a song you wait for someone to ask for and then you play it.
Hmm.
I don't just put it on.
Yeah, I've not had many requests for that. We did it it was in the bar. We used it there,
Mhm.
but only a couple of times at weddings have I had a request for that. But yeah,
Sure.
I remember in the bar that would be the last 20 minutes of the night that could be put, and you'd fill that floor, and
Yeah.
women loved it.
Yeah, it's a song that women anywhere from, I would say, probably I don't know, late 30s all the way through 60. If they've been divorced, they're gonna love it. It's a divorce song, is what it
Hmm.
is. So they
And that's
love
why
it.
in
It's
the
a nice
bar works so well at that time of night.
yeah,
I'm celebrating it. I left him, and now I'm gonna go get lucky with this guy at the end of the bar.
sure, why not? Yeah, why not?
Um, Next, I'm going to go 1993. This song is a song that can be used in a variety of different. I've used this with some of my skits that I do. I've used it I actually used it when I had for a garter removal. Is
Uh,
that a gentleman wanted to go and he wanted to have something where he could go strut and show off his moves. So we're talking RuPaul's Supermodel.
ooh, very nice.
It can be used for a dance floor situation,
Hmm.
but it just has so many little things, spot potentials where you can use it in different spots and drop a little bit here. Yeah,
Song
definitely,
everybody knows too.
exactly, and they know it.
Got turned up in the Brady movie or something like that.
Yeah, in a lot of different places. So that's one you definitely want to have.
It's funny too. It's a funny song.
Yes. Um, okay.
And when I heard this next song, I thought, what in the hell? I'll tell you a story. I had been getting promo onlys sporadically. I would see something I had to have, I couldn't find it anywhere, and I would go to the promo only website because I had like the internet that you had to crank, at the time. The old
Yeah.
fashioned kind.
Yes, I think I had that one too.
Yeah, that one. I would go to the website and I would try to find the track or what I thought was the track because you couldn't preview anything.
Mm-hmm.
I would order, tracks here and there. But I finally decided to subscribe to promo only. And the first issue I got, I believe, it was either August or October or November of 97. It might have been October. And I got my first disc and I put it in. And I heard this thing. And I'm like, what in the F is this? Are you kidding me? This is what promo only is going to give me for music. And it turned out to be a huge hit. It's Chumbawamba's Tub Thumping from 1997.
That's on my list too.
Yeah. It's like,
You,
really?
you've got
This
it.
is what they're going to say is going to be the next hot song? Maybe I don't want to go with this music service. But no, they were right. They were right.
Oh gosh, the play that we had of that song and that hokey.
What's interesting about those people is they're anarchists. They encourage people to steal their records from the stores.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh
And
my.
so you never heard anything about them after this is because they were just complete anarchists. They're like, yeah, steal our music. Please steal it. Don't buy it. Steal our music. Go to the store, stuff it in your jacket, and run. Don't buy our music.
Oh my goodness.
Really interesting.
Yeah, that didn't go
They had,
well with the labels.
they had another cool song called Long Term Memory Loss,
Hmm.
which was pretty fun.
Yeah, that one I knew the one and they were a one hit wonder.
Check it out. You'll remember it. It's fun. You're never going to play it, but it's just cool to know it.
Cool.
What's on your list, brother?
Well, I'm gonna go from 91, I believe it was, with Spin Doctors with Two Princes.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Kind of a neat little, kind of a campy little song.
Mm-hmm.
Has that high recognition and such. Just a nice kind of surprise song for people who, again, grew up in that era. They'll know the song and they'll sing along, and it's fast enough to dance to.
That was follow-up to on the album Pocket Full of Kryptonite. The lead single on that one was Little Miss Can't Be Wrong.
Yes.
And then that was the follow-up single, and I think it did better.
I think so. Although
Yeah,
Little Miss Can't Be Wrong was a good track, no question about it.
Yeah, but I think that, the 90s was full of really weird music that you really couldn't dance really well to. I wasn't feeling it then.
Yeah.
Blues Traveler and that kind of horse shit. But then you had like the Nirvana and all that. But Two Princes, you could actually kind of dance to it.
Mhm,
So
mhm. Yeah, exactly. It was starting to get something that was usable.
right. One of the few and far between.
Yes.
Next on my list is very useful. I use it a lot, especially for those 20, 30 somethings. And even sports fans enjoy this song because I think it turns up at sporting events sometimes. And that's DJ Cool's Let Me Clear My Throat from 1996.
Mm. Yep, good track.
And I've worked with Cool twice at these shows. Another really, really nice guy. Cool, super cool.
Yeah, I've never met him.
DJ, he's very nice, and he runs with that pack. I mean, if Cool's in town and people know it, people come and see him. So like through Cool, I think I met Slick Rick and Biz Marquee just because they Cool's in town, we'll go see him.
Yeah, hang on.
He's a really nice guy, Really, really nice guy. Lives out in DC, I believe.
Cool, cool. Okay,
Name dropping. Sorry.
my next one, Bare Naked Ladies with 1 Week.
I remember those guys.
That particular track, not so much. I mean, it still can get played today, and you still hear it every once in a while. But
Mhm.
it was such a strong song at that time, and with the energy and the sing along. It's a great surprise sing along song again
Yeah.
with the right crowd today
Yeah.
because they will know it.
Who was the other band that came out right around the same time? Awful band with the Presidents of the United States of America.
With Lump,
Remember those guys?
was
They
it?
did like Peaches,
Yeah, oh yeah, Peaches. Who?
but it was the same vibe. But I
Yeah,
think, yeah, Bare Naked Ladies were the ones who kind of came out on top of that whole movement, whatever it was called.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Peaches.
part 7 of the
We're
90s,
gonna move out to the country and get
right?
ourselves some peach. Yeah.
And Lump, I believe, was their
Yeah,
song.
Lump was the other one. I was looking at that, and I had that on one of the old lists, and I was looking at that, and it's like, what in the world was I thinking back then?
Right, right. Why
But
was I?
at that,
Because you had no choice. You had to play it. It was,
exactly, it was popular because we kept track of play counts back then, and
and those are the kind of songs that I think about when I say things like the 90s sucked.
yeah,
They really didn't, but there was some really crappy stuff in the 90s, like Lump,
mm-hmm,
that it was like, really, I got to work this in somewhere.
yeah,
You know, I'm about as fond as Lump as I am Two Chains. I'm about as fond. You know, it's about the same amount of admiration there. So I don't like that kind of stuff at all. It was a downer, but you had to play it. I'm sorry. Is it my turn?
yeah, it is, it is.
I'm sorry. Hit Me Baby One More Time. Britney Spears, 1997.
Gotta have it.
They'll get airplay. I still play that one. They still like it. Britney Spears has had a career for nearly 20 years now, when you think about it.
Yeah,
But when anybody says a music career, she's had a career. She was with Disney before that. But when anyone says play some Britney Spears, I still play Hit Me Baby One More Time
mm-hmm,
every time.
yeah,
I don't think to play Toxic or Crazy or any of that. I just play the one that came out first.
yeah, yeah, exactly, because that goes over because anything newer,
Mm,
it just doesn't have that
no,
recognition.
I just prefer it, and my crowd seemed to respond real well to
Very,
it.
very good. Yeah, that was on my list also. I've got to have another one that is from Aqua, Barbie Girl,
Oh yeah,
which is the surprising song that is incredibly popular with Minnesota high schools.
yeah.
It just this,
It's popular at every high school, I think.
yeah. Maybe I just it's like can I not play that tonight? It's like there's a couple of songs from this era that are always
Right.
requested, and that's one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got legs.
Yeah.
I play it. Speaking of crap rock, this one is.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate. I shouldn't say hate's a very strong word. This is not the stuff I listen to in my free time. How's that sound?
There we go. We'll go with that.
Dramatic enough? Okay, All Star by Smash Mouth, 1999.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the movie Shrek, so everybody knows it. The kids know it. The adults know it. You can still play it. So if you got to play crap rock song that's kind of associated with the 90s, you can go Smash Mouth, All Star.
They had two hits from that era.
Uh, God,
I can't remember what the other
Can't
one
Get
was.
Enough of You, Baby was another one they did. Walking on the Sun was
There
one
we
that
go.
they
Walking
did.
on the Sun is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
It wasn't a dance type tune,
Well,
but
it's very lazy songwriting. Don't delay, act now, supplies are running out. It's like Will I Am before Will I Am, just the laziest songwriting I've ever heard in my life. But All Star's pretty good.
that's what.
Sorry.
Tell us how you really feel, Brian.
I sorry. Too much
So
coffee.
let's talk about bad songwriting from a couple of FIED coaches or teachers over. It was in UK with Right Said Fred with "I'm Too Sexy."
Oh man, I love that song.
It's one of those that is you have to have it because you're going to use it. Whether it's somebody wants to use it for the garter time, somebody wants to do it for this. I've used it more in novelty situations in the last 10 years than
What is that? 91.
92, somewhere in 91, 92. I think it charted at 92 maybe.
Okay. Because I remember driving to work one day when we still had the hot radio station before Nirvana came and screwed everything up in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
and I was getting off on the off ramp of the freeway to go. I worked in retail, and that song came on. I'm like, what in the hell? I remember going to work, and I was just shaking my head, and my boss said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I just heard the worst goddamn song I ever heard in my life."
Yep.
But I grew to love it.
That was the same response we had the first time we heard it. Like, what in the?
I grew to love that song. And I even made a video. I did a party, and it was like early video editing days way back then.
Mhm.
And I did a music video with all of my friends, kind of a montage to "I'm Too Sexy." So yeah, and I haven't played it. I haven't played that one in years, but I have it. It's there. It's ready to go whenever I feel like it's going to be relevant again.
Mhm.
It's going to go. Good choice.
Cool, cool. All right, what do you got next?
Tootsie Roll, 69 Boys,
Right there.
1994. I wish I didn't have to play that song. I really do. I don't like the Dirty South stuff. I don't like anything that sounds kind of military.
Mhm.
And that's, what was the other one like that that I do play once in a while? Come Baby Come, K7
Yep.
is the other one that's kind of like that. But yeah, you got to have it. Got to have the Tootsie Roll. And there's a little dance to it.
Sure. Now I'm going to just ixnay K7 off my favorites list.
I don't mind that one so much.
Yeah, sure. Now you say
More
that.
lazy songwriting, by the way.
Yeah, but you think most of these are? I mean,
come baby, baby, come.
Well, that or we can go.
We just
we can go get. We can go listen to MC Hammer's "Pray."
There you go.
I mean, how many times did they say that? 130 something. My next is a this is as close to country as I'm going to get tonight.
Okay.
With in the mid '90s, the Rednecks came out with their version of Cotton Eye Joe, which
Yes.
of course there's the older version of Cotton Eye Joe that was country and they did their thing. Well, this came out and it has been this is the other older '90s song that is requested almost every high school dance because the kids are either going to do a slop and leather type line dance to it, or we actually taught some activities, group activities with it during our time with doing youth rallies and such, but. It's got staying power. It's been here for 20 some years, and it'll probably be here for another 10 to 20 years.
The funny part about that song is the only thing remotely country about it is the southern accent that the Irish guys are trying to sing in as they're singing it, and the costumes in the video. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just a Euro dancey song.
Yeah, and
people love it.
It's really creepy video if you really watch it.
Yeah, it's
like scary creepy.
The only video only video that is maybe just as creepy as Slade's Runaway, which is kind of weird like that too. But
yeah, very much. All right, what do you got next?
Well, let's see. Getting Jiggy with It by Will Smith, 1997. My go-to Will Smith song. For a while, it was like the Men in Black. I couldn't get rid of it because all the kids at the schools wanted it. But once in a while, if I'm going to play a Will Smith tune, it's Getting Jiggy with It. That's my go-to track.
For sure. Good track. That's also on my list of must have. Now the other one, as long as we're talking Will Smith, I've got there we go. From the early 90s with Boom Shake the Room.
Yes.
Is
a hot track.
A hot track, and I like the way that one goes. And in the club or when we were playing in the bars and such, I just really like the feel of what that one could do.
Well, that's a Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince.
Yep,
song,
exactly.
Isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a combination. But I was just using that as a bridge for us.
No.
But yeah,
whenever you got jazz on the turntables, you're gonna get a funky beat.
Oh yeah,
it's
exactly.
Good.
It's a really.
Do you know that's the only guy who's no longer allowed to compete in the DMC championships? He's been banned from it because he's so good, no one can beat him. He's that good.
Wow.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
And he's a real nice guy too. I ran into him a couple times.
Yeah, I've heard that because I think he was at Mobile Beat last year.
I think I met him at NAMM.
Was it 2 years ago?
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
He's a real nice guy.
Yeah. But yeah, great track. Got a lot of miles out of that track. Where are you at next?
Well, it's your turn.
No, I just did.
Okay. You did that one.
I can go in. I've got a long list, so
yeah,
I'll go ahead. I'll go with another one. And then somebody already mentioned this one from the mid '90s. We've got the Spice Girls with "Wannabe."
Yes. Beautiful song.
Still
one of the best songs ever, by the way.
No sarcasm there?
No, I actually love the track. When I first saw that video, I mean, this is going back to what, 96, 97 on that track?
Yeah, 96.
Yeah. I first saw that video. I was like, oh my God, this is so bad. It's good. You know,
Yeah, that's a good way to describe the video.
it is so bad. It's good. I can't believe MTV picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
But since they have, this is going to be huge. And I absolutely love the track. I play it to this day.
Oh yeah, yeah. It still goes over. It was Saturday night at that small wedding.
It's my follow up to Party in the USA, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
Because Party in the USA is like big. I mean, even men like that song.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if anyone asks for Miley Cyrus, I don't think about Wrecking Ball or any of that. I always play Party in the USA. And
Oh,
it
for
gets
sure.
a huge reaction. And the follow up, and they're not expecting it. They're expecting like Call Me Maybe or something like that. But I'll do Wannabe. And the place will just explode.
Yeah.
I mean, they're calling the riot police at this point. The place goes nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, Chris mentioned that one of the Spice Girls, you're hitting that 30-something female, which they would have known some of the earlier Miley Cyrus much more than they would know her current stuff. So definitely, I can see how those would work together.
I mean, little girls liked it. I mean, if you think about it, geez, even if you're in your mid-20s when you were tiny, maybe that was your thing because that was all the girl power movement.
Yeah,
and it was safe music, like we talked about with Vega. Safe stuff.
Yeah.
Disney Radio played it, so it's going to appeal to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I've never gotten a bad reaction from Wannabe by the Spice Girls. I mean,
good point.
For a long time.
I don't know if I have either. Now that you mention it. Never thought about it from that perspective.
Yeah. Good tune. Did I mention Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe yet?
No, we haven't talked about it tonight. We did talk about it at one of the other but from a different direction. So go ahead.
Right. 1990. If they want to hear that New Jack swing stuff, which is what that genre was for half a second, this is the go-to track.
Yeah, great tune. That was my favorite tune from them. Yeah,
you can drop it into an energy set if you want to.
People are talking about a bunch of them. Some we're not going to touch on tonight, like Dave Matthews. Great, he was big, but for dance floor, it didn't. It was great to listen to.
It was terrible to listen to. Who are you kidding? I hated that stuff. Well, that's what gave the 90s a bad name for me.
Yeah.
Not only that, but my ex-wife gave it a really bad name for me.
But that's another show.
I referred to the 90s. A lot of the 90s are kind of like the dark ages. No thanks to my ex-wife and Dave Matthews Band.
The two work together to just ruin the 90s for you, man.
Heresy. Just heresy.
Oh, that's funny.
Sorry, I injected a little comedy there, but no, I never cared for any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Dave Matthews, you can go a couple slow tunes with Dave Matthews, and you got those 30-somethings who really dig it.
Yeah, I had some people in the bar, and those were the money. They only got played because they dropped money on the table. I was not a Dave Matthews fan myself, but I appreciate his body of work, and people liked it. But yeah.
What's that one track? Was it Crash Into Me? Was that Dave Matthews?
Yep, that was him.
Yeah, I don't know when that came out, if that was 90s or early 2000s, but that one's still hot. I mean, you should have it.
Yeah. If you've got to have one.
Aside from that, take the whole catalog and blow it up in Kaminsky Park like you did disco. Just destroy it, wipe it from the record. Didn't happen.
It wasn't there.
Another what they say? The Dave Matthews Band is like listening to 5 musicians playing 5 different songs. That's what it's like.
Yeah, there's.
We're a jam band. Yeah, you should be jamming to the same song though.
No, that would ruin our artistic twist. Music.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Let's see. Early 90s. Ace of Base with The Sign. If you're going to, you got to have that in your collection. Kind of a nice little. It's a moving along. It's got a little bit of a beat to it. It can be played, as even a before you get things going for that crowd. As I'm segueing from like dinner to the dance, I can play that, and people will be like, "Yeah, I remember that song."
More Swedes.
Yep, more Swedes, more blonde-haired people. Let's go.
They did All That She Wants.
Oh, they had a.
And what was the other one that Don't Turn Around?
Yeah, Don't
that
Turn
album.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back in the days when we used to have to actually buy entire CDs to get a song, that was a relatively good value because you got some songs on that album.
Yeah, it was a good album. And it was.
Let's see, what do I got? Next to my list, you have to have the edited version of the song. It has to be edited very well. You might want to go through and do your own custom edits on this song. But it does get requested, and it's a very good song, and people know it. and it came this close. I mean, if it wasn't for the lyrical stuff, this would have been played on Disney radio like mad.
Mm-hmm.
But lyrically, it was just way too nasty. It's the Out There Brothers from 1995. Boom, boom, boom. Let me hear you say, "Well, well." You gotta have a very clean version of that song,
Boom.
but it's one to have.
That was one that made my favorites list.
Let's go back to that favorite list for
Yeah,
a minute.
we can do
It's
that.
that time again.
We can do that. We can do that. But I'm not going to go with dance music on my first one. I'm going to go back to, I think it was 1994, Offspring's, one of the early Offspring songs with Self-Esteem.
Oh yeah.
Now, this is, it's not a dance thing. It's not, but it's
Right.
just that kind of that rocking driving song. And of course,
Yeah.
Self-Esteem.
Self-Esteem is the one you picked, right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
And of course, there was, for more of a pop world, there was Pretty Fly for White Guy, and there was one more track, I can't remember what it was.
Gotta keep them separated.
Yeah.
Come out and play.
Come Out and Play was in that area, but is
And Get a Job. Isn't one about getting a job, or was that on the next album?
My Girlfriend. Yeah.
Another really brilliant songwriting thing going on there.
Oh yeah.
I say, hey, no way, hey.
This is the '90s music, man. This is big stuff. But yeah, I wasn't into Self-Esteem when it first came out. It was actually one of those songs that my first experience with them was the Pretty Fly with the White Guy and Why Don't You Get a Job, I think, and such. So coming back to it later, it's like, wow, that's actually kind of a cool song, especially when you have a big sound system.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So
retrospect, it's like, not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
The entire Nirvana Nevermind album was that way for me. I don't think I decided it was a decent album until 10 years later. I'm like, you know what? Fine. It completely destroyed my dance floor. It pissed me off. It harshed my mellow at the time, but it ain't a bad album.
I think I'm right there with you. That I just despise Nirvana. No, you don't. You're not requesting that, really? Seriously, this is a dance. You know how many times that conversation went on. Yeah. But as you look back, it's like, well, that is pretty good.
It's solid. I mean, Come As You Are, all this is a very solid album.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand the vibe. At the time, it's like, no, but you go back and you're like, yeah, okay, fine. Give it a pass.
Still can't dance to it, though.
You still can't dance to it.
Damn you people. I want a dance song.
Speaking of Nirvana, this next artist is something that's not on a lot of people's radar because they got in trouble for sampling Nirvana. And I think he came out in 93. I didn't hear it until about 95. And it was in a club in Minneapolis, actually First Avenue in Minneapolis. Yep. I went to First Avenue one night to, I don't know why I was in town. It was the 90s. I don't know why a lot of things happen. But they played this track and I went to the DJ booth and I said, what in the hell is this? I have to own it. Tinman's 18 Strings. Do you know the song, John?
I don't know if I do. Write
it down. Look it up.
18 Strings.
The guitar sample is from Smells Like Teen Spirit. And it's the coolest dance track. I think Europe was able to play it and it got charted. It was a big club hit. But in the USA, there was so much going on with the copyright infringement with that. I don't think we really got to hear it too much. But I own it on 12-inch. I've had it on CD import for years. It's a beautiful song. Tinman 18 Strings.
I'll have to check that out.
Please, you're going to, check it out. It's fun. And I have played it at gigs once in a while. I'll throw it on with the right crowd. I'm like, I'm going to just do it. It's almost like crossing over between 90s dance and 90s rock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's people, even if they don't know, they're like, hey, and they're jumping around to it.
Cool.
They think it smells like Teen Spirit remix, and it kind of is.
I'll definitely.
So it's cool. Check it out.
Definitely check that. I'm going to do two favorites this time because these two came out about the same time, and they were kind of they fit together pretty well for what I did. Okay. Black Crowes, Hard to Handle, rock song. Right on. And then Damn Yankees, Coming of Age.
Okay.
They were both, not that they wouldn't fit together well, but they would fit in that vicinity of the same set.
Mm-hmm. And the roots rock set.
Exactly. And
Tom Petty.
Just during that time frame where I didn't really want people to be dancing as much as I wanted them to be drinking kind of heavily. And one of them, they'd sing along to a little bit to the Black Crowes and as that went along. And then the Damn Yankees, Coming of Age was actually a little bit more of a little bit more beat to it. So you could start to progress into something more substantial. But two songs that were definitely favorites of mine in the 90s.
I'm going to go with one from 1990, the KLF with What's Time Is Love. This is an interesting band. They deleted their whole catalog until We Achieve World Peace. I believe they slaughtered a live cow with a chainsaw at the MTV Europe Awards. They're interesting people. But the album, Lightroom, was one of my favorite albums of the 90s. So good. What Time Is Love, 3 AM Eternal,
Justified and
Justified
Ancient.
and
Yeah,
Ancient.
those are the ones that.
There were several. There were more, but it
Mm,
was a great album. And the version I like is the 90 version. It's a live at Trancentral. Trancentral was the name of their recording studio, by the way. It was their actually it was their soundboard. They called it the Trancentral. It was their mixing board. So it wasn't live anywhere, but that's the popular version that everybody knows.
mm-hmm. Cool. I'm gonna head. I think somebody might have mentioned this one. Freak Nasty's The Dip.
The dip. Yeah.
Another. This is if you want to have a lyricist who's writing some incredible lyrics for your song,
Deep
it,
stuff.
it ain't
Deep
this
stuff,
one.
man.
But
Almost as deep as DMX's Party Up. Almost, but
oh,
not quite.
and yet in the bar time that went just gangbusters. That people were out there having a good time with that one. So
Yes. I'll go one more of my favorites list, and we'll jump back into
yeah, that sounds great.
what it was. Oh, where do I want to go? Okay, fine. I'm gonna do it. Uh, this song, for some reason, I like it. I don't. This whole genre wasn't really my thing so much, but every once in a while, something came out that I liked. This is an R&B track
Mm-hmm.
from 1996. "Use Your Heart" by SWV. I love this song.
Mm.
Love this song, and I forget what the sample's from right off the top of my head, but it's a beautiful song. Love it.
Now I'm not sure if I've ever heard that one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, back in those days, I was working for Motorola. We were putting together the first cell towers, digital cell towers, which eventually became Verizon.
Mm-hmm.
And I had drivers. Every day I had a driver. They would drive me around. I would test the signal on the phone. That was my job. It was a great job. One of my favorite jobs I ever had besides DJing. It was a pretty cool gig.
Mm-hmm.
I did that for 2 years. And my drivers were dudes from the city, black dudes, and we would every day we'd be like, okay, who gets the radio today? And it's like, well, I don't care, play whatever you want. So we would alternate. We do rock, we do classic rock, we do R&B. We were actually turning each other on to new stuff that way, and just driving around all day doing
Mm-hmm.
nothing. And whenever the R&B station was on, I remember that tune would come on. Like, that is really nice. It's a beautiful song.
Yeah,
It's
I've not heard that.
yeah.
The two that I've
Use Your
played
Heart,
were.
SWV. I wouldn't play it at a gig, but I just personally like the song.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, jumping back to the must plays. We've got there's a lot of must plays here. I want to.
Yeah, there are.
That or you must have that. Another song that's been used a lot in a lot of different circumstances. We used to use it as a dance floor song. People would dance, and it was a great tune for that. And now it's pretty much used more for introductions and such. From about the mid '90s, around '95, when the Jock Jams disc came out, and the Jock Jams mix.
Mm-hmm. The big mix they did.
The mix they did with everything, because there's.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was Bobby D who did that. A
Yep.
DJ from B96 Chicago.
Yes, and that was. Boy, that had a lot of use over the years.
Yes, it did.
And
I haven't played that in a long time, but I feel you on that one.
It's introductions. I still have couples who ask for the Jock Jams for a wedding introduction and such, and it's like, oh, it changes up and it does this and does that, instead of going to just going and picking up one of the songs and going with it.
Doesn't it end up like Rock and Roll by Gary Glitter or something like that?
Yeah, I think it does. Rock and Roll Part 2.
Yeah, Rock and Roll Part 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with one from 1996, because what happened was you had all this energy music, this cool stuff, and then all of a sudden the rock hit, and literally a rock hit. The dance floor was like getting cleared, everybody, with all that stuff that I hate. And then stuff started coming out like here and there. And this was one of those songs that came out. I was like, where did you come from? Where have you? I'm glad you showed up, but I don't know where you came from. And that's "Where Do You Go" by No Mercy from 1996.
Oh, great tune.
I felt like Frankie Knuckles in the 80s in Chicago when disco wasn't cool, and he's like digging these rare tracks from the 70s, and he's digging from Europe for things, anything to just play for his dance floor, because nothing on the radio is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt for a lot of the 90s as a club DJ. Whenever something came out that people were familiar with and you could dance to, I got very excited around this time.
Oh yeah,
and a good one.
Yeah, we used to make, not that this was legal, but we used to make compilation discs, so you'd have everything that you were using, And there were some periods of time over that we'd go 3 months before you'd find enough good danceable tracks to put on a 20-track disc.
It was hard to do.
It was, and now it's like, goodness, there's other times where you could go on something, boom, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Mid 90s again, Quad City DJs. They Come On Ride the Train. Another one that you've got to have.
Yes, you do.
People love that. They do the train around the room. It can be for the weddings. It can school dances still request this. So it's just a staple you've got to have in the collection.
You know, it's funny because I think it was originally kind of like the Bunny Hop, and then it became Grand Funk Railroad's Locomotion.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Gap Band took that away and said, no, we're going to call this Party Train now. And so it was the same dance, the Locomotion, but it was Party Train now. And then Kylie Minogue came along and said, no, we're going to call Locomotion again.
Yep.
And then the Quad City DJ said, nah, sorry, girl, it's the train again. So it's the same thing, different songs. But I think Quad City DJs, they kind of ended there. Nobody's tried to take it away from them.
No one's tried to revisit that.
Let's see what's on my list. I'm skipping around a little bit. This is How We Do It, Montel Jordan, 1995. Dance song, R&B, but a nice song. And if you're into the whole message thing, which I'm not, but if you are, it's got a nice message. He's having fun, but he's giving the designated driver the keys to his truck, so he's not driving drunk, and he's having fun and being safe, and this is how we do it. And there you go.
Responsible song. Yay.
A responsible song.
Let's see. Sticking with you gotta haves. Baby Got Back, Sir Mix-a-Lot, early 90s.
Sweet.
Yeah, there's just no. And yes, we're talking about messages of songs. This one, obviously is talking about inappropriate things for school dance. But this, of all songs, has been one of the most requested by chaperones at high schools in my career.
Really?
I've had more chaperones come up and say, hey, can you play Baby Got Back? It's like, do you know what this song is about? Well, we played it at my high school. I mean, you're talking chaperones who are 22, 23, just out of college. Well, we played it at my school. And it's like, well, probably not. And then they go and they talk to the other chaperones, and they're like, yeah, they're all in their 20-somethings. And it's like, okay, so I'm going to be the old guy who's going to sit here and tell the 20-somethings who are in charge of this event. And, we're like, we'll
just drop it and shut up.
That's
just what it comes down to.
I'm going to go over here and I'm going to complain about these kids on my lawn, and then I'll play the song over here. Okay?
Yeah, right. Get off my lawn.
You damn kids.
I'm done being the moral cop. If I got to be a moral cop somewhere, it's not my gig. I tried to do it for a while. It drove me absolutely crazy.
For sure.
And when Back came out, I'm like trying to do these little meticulous edits of things that I don't like that was cool on the radio edit. Nah, screw that. I'm done with all that stuff.
Yeah.
We're just going to play songs. And if the kids can't handle it, they live a sheltered life, and something really bad was going to happen to them anyway.
Exactly. They'll be hit by a train or something. So let's get going.
That's right. Something. I hope something happens.
What's
to
that
them
noise? I
they
don't know.
I
never left my house. I don't know what that noise is.
It happens.
What do you got next?
Vogue, Madonna,
Nice.
1990.
That was my must-have Madonna song. Not my preferred, not my favorite, but
that's not even my must-have Madonna song. It gets requested sometimes.
Yeah.
My must-have Madonna song, I don't even know if it's on my list. I think we talked about it last week.
Yep,
we
last
did.
week. Yep.
Like a Prayer.
Yep, exactly. That's the old stuff is my.
Yeah, it's just like a year before that, or 6 months before that, I think, but still it qualifies. But yeah, tune. They want to hear it sometimes.
Staying with that 1990 time frame, Digital Underground and the Humpty Dance.
Right on.
Won't
go away.
Won't go away. Still
107. It mixes with a lot of cool stuff that way. If you're a beat mixer, new stuff, old stuff, a lot of the Nelly stuff, and even the Bee Gees mixed in with that about that BPM. Staying Alive is there, so you can go like Staying Alive into Nelly into Humpty Dance. It's weird, but you can, and it works, and it makes sense. But, yeah, good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to jump back into the Sir Mix-a-Lot thing.
Yeah.
Another song that wasn't on my radar until later on down the road. People started asking for it. 1986, Jump On It.
Yep.
Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Didn't play that until probably 10 years ago.
Yeah, me either. And they're like, do you have it? I'm like, what in the hell is this? It was like a church group or something. And I'm like, oh, okay. And yeah, now I play it all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a kind of a, depending upon what feel or what I'm trying to do with it, because I take snippets of that. And sometimes we'll use Apache, and sometimes we'll use mix a lot depending upon what I'm doing with that.
Sure.
Good stuff. It's interesting though. It wasn't even on the radar until years later.
No,
Didn't exist.
no. I think it came out a year. It came out after Baby Got Back.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years after. Well, maybe a few years after, but yeah.
Let's see. Back to the introductions, wedding party introductions. This has probably been used the most across the world for DJs. Get ready for this from 2 Unlimited.
Right.
I mean, if you're gonna do the wedding party introduction and you're gonna do it, the prototypical wedding party introduction, you're going to use this, and you're going to have Michael Buffer doing let's get ready right ahead of it.
Sports fans.
And there's your introduction.
And I play the instrumental of that, strictly the instrumental of that.
Nice.
And I have very good luck with that at school dances.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a staple because it's a sports song. They hear it during sporting events, so they know it, and it's a good feeling thing for anybody who digs that. And it's a, my God, is that 92?
Yeah, yep, 92.
Yeah, that's like a 24-year-old techno song.
Isn't that something?
So weird.
Yeah.
Back in my day,
I'm just kind of grasping how old some of these songs are. It's like, oh wow, Britney's that old? Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the one that really blows my mind is like Eminem. It's like those 20 years of career for this guy. It's weird. But anyhow, next on my list is from 1999. It was it's a song that has a lot of wide appeal, or had a lot of wide appeal at the time, because the artist was from like almost like the late 60s, early 70s. But then they had a guy come in, Rob Thomas, did the vocals on it, which is Smooth. Carlos Santana featuring Rob Thomas. I still get legs with that song. People still like it. It's got a sexy groove to it. It's got more of a Latin feel.
Yeah.
You can play it, and it's a cool song.
Yeah.
Have it. Even if it's just for dinner or cocktails or something, it's a feel-good song.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah, a versatile song, but
it's a mellow song too.
I'd put it more in that kind of that later dinner as I'm trying to work my way out of that into.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, 1993, Shoop from Salt and Pepper.
Nice, well played.
Getting a nice song that gets the women involved. I think is probably the biggest thing I would say with that one, because that is a women on the dance floor type song, and that woman power type feel I think you were referring to earlier.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't have any Salt and Pepper on my list, but there's one that I haven't played in a long time. I used to play the hell out of it, and it worked really well. Remember the song that Salt and Pepper did with EU, Shake Your Thing? Remember that one?
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
That was a good one. We should bring it back, because that was good. It was EU featuring Salt and Pepper, or Salt and Pepper featuring EU. Shake your thing. Do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one. Now, it's not on my list. I just was mentioning it. Next on my list is actually, and I'm skipping over the ones you mentioned. I Like to Move It, Reel to Reel, featuring the Mad Stuntman, 1993. Appeared on the movie Madagascar, so all the kids know it for school parties. You can totally get away with playing it. It's actually a reggaeton song.
Yeah.
So the Latinos dig it. And I know this because Blanca is one of them things. And she tells me, oh, yeah, that's a reggaeton song. It's like, yeah, be damned it is. I never thought of it that way. But it is a reggaeton song.
Mm-hmm. And again, the number of my children know the song. Little elementary 5 and 6 year olds.
It's a 23-year-old song.
That's crazy. Oh, man, we're really feeling old tonight.
I know.
Let's go to another oldie then. 1990 would have been right at that turn with MC Hammer's "Can't Touch This" came out.
Oh wow! I think you mentioned that one before, didn't you?
We talked about it. It's right at the.
We talked about it, but not okay. Cool.
We talked about Hammer's "Pray."
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, we talked about "Pray" because of original song lyrics. But kind of that it's one of those songs that gets requested whenever I'm playing Ice Ice Baby. I've got people coming up and saying, "Hey, can you play?" It's like, and if you play the other one, it'll be, "Can you play?"
Now, between You Can't Touch This and Ice Ice Baby, kind of did the same thing that the Bee Gees did for disco, which is made it so mainstream and people just got sick of it and wanted it to die. That's kind of what happened with that whole whatever it was, the dance pop rap fusion thing. But at the time, it's very cool stuff.
Yep.
And if I have to, if I'm presented with it, I will go Super Freak over You Can't Touch This. if I can. I would rather do that.
Yeah.
Life Size Baby's been on my playlist since it came out. I have never gotten rid of it, and it still gets a great response, which you mentioned earlier. Here's one we haven't talked about. Remember when I said like songs like No Mercies, Where Do You Go? When they come out, I get really excited
Yeah.
because there's finally a dance song I can play. Here's another one of those songs. It's like, oh my God, thank you. Where did you come from? What is Love by Hadaway from 1993 officially, but it was actually more like 94, 95. And,
Yeah.
and it appeared in the movie Night at the Roxbury. I don't know the characters' names because I don't watch Saturday Night Live. I haven't since Eddie Murphy because I'm that old, but the little dance they do go in the club.
Big yes, that became
Still
popular.
to this day, one to have.
Good track. Yep, that's for sure. Let's see. We'll do one more here. CNC Music Factory was early 90s with Gonna Make You Sweat.
Ooh, number one on my list.
Oh,
just so you know.
Just jumped right to the top.
You jumped right to the top of my list. Yes, sir.
They had 2 or 3 songs that
had a bunch of songs
that were right about the same time as Gonna Make You Sweat.
Here We Go, Rock and Roll.
Yep.
Was another one. Things That Make You Go,
And it was just, from my experience, nothing even came close to half the response that Gonna Make You Sweat had.
No.
Just was so much. I mean, sometimes you'll have like the number one song, like we talked earlier with the band that we were talking. I can't remember who we were. Where their second song was the popular one. The first one came out.
Two Princes, yeah, Spin Doctors.
Yeah, Spin Doctors. There we go. So they were somewhat close in response. Not even close with CNC Music.
Well, do you know why that one did what it did?
No, please.
The vocal hook was Martha Wash. The Weather Girls, It's Raining Men.
Yep.
That was her. And she was everything back then. She was all of that black box stuff. She was Martha Wash was everywhere. She was the female vocalist for like everybody. And that was the only track I think they used her on. No, they used her a little bit in Here We Go, Let's Rock and Roll. But that Everybody Dance, now that's the hook of the song. The rest of it's just filler. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
the rest of it's all
just filler. Yeah.
That's the hook, and that's why it's hot.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers Everybody Dance Now. She's got that voice.
She does.
Next on my list is New Zealand artist. This song was released in 1994. We didn't hear it until I think 97. And when we heard it. It was like, wow. It was on the radio the same time that like that Robin song, What It Takes, was on. It was a hit right around the same time. That is OMC's How Bizarre. And I can totally get away with playing that song today. And again, it's one of those, oh wow, kind of songs. And it's kind of got a Spanish guitar feel to it.
Oh, it
does. They're actually Kiwi.
Interesting. I guess I wouldn't have guessed that they were from Australia or New Zealand.
No, they're from New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah.
Don't say that.
I know. I've got some of my New Zealand.
They're going to yell at you.
They will now. They're going to yell at me, but they'll be very polite about it. Not quite as polite as Canadians, but they'll be pretty polite.
That's like asking a Puerto Rican what they think of the whole citizenship green card thing. They're not going to be very happy.
They won't be happy with you. Don't you realize that we just voted?
Because my mother asked Blanca that one time, and I was like, oh no.
Oh, this is not good.
Mom, we got to have a talk. Come here. Give me a geography lesson here.
So yeah, the How Bizarre actually was the one when I did a teaser video for our show tonight on Instagram, and I used How Bizarre in the background. So
did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I want to jump to a favorite because you just mentioned the lady who sang the hook of this song, which is "Strike It Up" from Black Box.
One of my favorite songs to this day.
And
it's got to be the version off the album Dreamland, because there were a couple different versions of that.
Yes. There was a specific version that you had to have, because other ones were like, eh.
It's the USA version too, because they play the UK version on Sirius XM's Utopia. I don't know. You have XM?
No, I don't.
Okay. It's worthwhile. I would say get it as a DJ. You're going to hear a lot of music and learn a lot about music. And it's cool to listen to trends on Utopia because a lot of people have XM. So when you're DJing, you can get away with things that they're playing on XM sometimes.
Sure.
So call it a business investment. That's how I look at it. I write it off my taxes because it's just bad. Anyway.
And there's your tax tip from Brian Red tonight.
But anyway, it's research. It is.
We're covering all the bases, music and tax tips.
The rap in the US Dreamland version is much better than what they did in Europe. The rap, it's forced, it's fake, it's hot too. It's too hot on the mix. There's a big difference.
Hmm.
So yeah, the US Dreamland version of that song
Yeah,
is the only version you could ever play.
yeah, and that's the one I've got and what I've used and such. I've heard others. There was some of those DJ compilations, specifically one from
Mm.
Canada,
Yeah.
had a version. It's like, really? What? Huh?
Weird intro. The intro of
Yeah,
that song is so hot. And then the rap is good. I mean, it's really good. Though I don't remember who the rapper is, but yeah,
fun,
that's the version you want.
fun stuff
I don't
there.
care where you live, that's the version you want.
Hmm.
Great song.
Okay, what do you got?
That was next on my list. It really was. So we'll go somewhere else. I don't play it a lot, but when I play it, this is what I play, and they like it, and I get a good response to it. And that's Prince's "Get Off" from 1991.
Oh yeah,
And you can do that within a hip hop set of 90s stuff or a dance set. It doesn't really matter. BPM's right around 100 somewhere, but it works.
when did so you had
That was on Diamonds and Pearls. Came out in 90.
came out you had Get
91.
Off, and then there was another. There were three songs that we could play in the club from Prince that were oh.
Off of that album?
Was there no other? Well, we had Pussy Control. It came out earlier, I think.
Was it Cream?
Was it Cream? Maybe it was Cream. I don't remember. But I remember Get Off was basically between the two that we had was between Pussy Control and Get Off were the
It
two.
was Sexy MF.
Maybe that was it. Sexy. Because they were all three
MF.
basically something you could not play anywhere else beyond the bar
Yeah.
scene. The bar scene.
Yeah. Sexy MF, P Control, and Get Off. But no, I play Get Off at weddings now. I don't care.
I Get Off was one of those songs that getting towards the end of the night again, and I wanted to play something that was a little bit kind of dirty and a little bit kind of
Right.
That was within the last 10 minutes of we're going to close things down.
And that's a very Public Enemy inspired song with the whistles in it and stuff. So, I mean, it mixes with a lot of things.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily dance or whatever. So,
As long as we're
I
talking,
still play it. Like, if I do a club gig, I'll put it on once in a while.
another song that's more of a personal favorite than you should have it is Divinyls from the early '90s with "I Touch Myself."
She just died. Did you read about that?
Yeah, that wasn't too long ago.
She just died. Australian band. She died like maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah, I didn't think it was too.
But yeah,
terribly-
that is a gorgeous song. Gorgeous song.
and it was
It's naughty.
It is
But
a very naughty
good.
song, and when you have someone who's out there miming the song or what have you, it becomes a
Bring your
very
video camera, 'cause
popular bar song. Because there
Yes.
was numerous times I would have some of these lonely guys at the end of the bar come up there and request this song, and I got paid to play this song, and I would have played it anyway. He's like, I think that gal over there, she's pretty loaded tonight, and she's kind of. I think this song's gonna go over for her. I want you to send it out to Cindy.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Cindy, this song is going out to you tonight from a special admirer.
Now, if you look at more of a younger crowd for that, it actually appeared in, and I say, let me back up. There are some movies that have a cult following,
Mhm.
and it doesn't matter when they were made. They've got this following that they're still hot today. The Austin Powers movies are that.
Yes.
So, the teenagers today are watching Austin Powers and giggling profusely. This is like a classic film.
Yeah.
That song did turn up in the first Austin Powers movie.
Yep.
So there's a whole generation of people who know that song because of that movie, even if it wasn't on, they were born way after the song was recorded.
Very much so. Okay, where are you at next?
I'm going to go with you mentioned California Love earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And the other big one that you can play is Notorious B.I.G.'s Hypnotize from
Great
1996.
track. Great track.
Yeah. And I mix that with all kinds of stuff. I can mix in and out of a lot of stuff with that track.
Mm-hmm.
Got a good beat. The sample from that track is a Herb Alpert sample from, I think, 98 or no, 78. It's a song called Rise. And I play that song sometimes as an instrumental cocktail song. But that's the sample, Rise from Herb Alpert from 1978.
Interesting.
And P. Diddy and the Family got together and looped that for Biggie in 1986.
Yeah. Great track. Gonna stay with that type of Naughty by Nature from about '93 with Hip Hop Hooray.
Nice.
Just a
That one's almost interchangeable with OPP.
mm-hmm.
Almost for the right crowd.
Yeah, for the right crowd.
I would go Hip Hop Parade first, but OPP would work as well.
Yeah, a lot of positive response with that.
I get a request for this next one quite a bit. And it's odd because I get a request from it, and I can use code words here. I get requests from it from an urban audience. Okay. Just using some code here.
Yeah,
Why people ask for this song. And it's Cashmere's The Percolator of all things.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's because we're so close to Chicago. That song was so hot in Chicago, it kind of crossed boundaries. And we have we're 80 miles from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird. I don't get white people asking for this, but this was totally like house music stuff. The new Chicago house sound started around 92, and that's where like the Out There Brothers came from. A lot of those artists. Cashmere was Percolator, great classic house track, and still has legs today. I still play it for the right crowd.
And that's last night. Big Ron mentioned it also because of the connection with the Chicago scene, and I had to go listen to it because I kind of I knew the song. I've never played it though because it just wasn't in our world at the time.
So I used to travel between Milwaukee or the suburbs of Milwaukee to Chicago on the weekends when I was younger because it's where the action was. And I have friends down there, and I-94 goes through Minneapolis.
Yep.
And I understand that I-94, whatever. No, I-94 between Milwaukee and Chicago is like the Autobahn. Hold on and let's go. Because what's the speed limit? As fast as you can go. Except when you're going through Big Ron's neighborhood in Racine, you got to slow down because that's a total speed trap. But after you get past that, it's as fast as you can go. And there are going to be people passing you at that rate. And when you get down to the Wisconsin Illinois border, you can tune into B96 Chicago, and B96 Chicago is like the birthplace of house music for like the Hot Mix 5 and all that. Bobby D was a DJ on there who did that. Jock Jam's mix you mentioned earlier, he was a DJ on B96. The mixes from like 7 o'clock until 4 in the morning were outrageously cool. And the Percolator you heard a lot. So I have memories of driving like 95 miles an hour down 94 listening to Percolator in heavy traffic.
Interesting.
Memories.
Yeah. How the songs bring you back to that time or place. That's cool.
But it's because, I mean, imagine that beat and your foot on the gas pedal.
and now you're doing 95.
Yeah.
Why is my engine redlining?
Yeah. Oh, good.
I'm gonna get away from the dancey type stuff to 1994 with Green Day with Basket Case.
Wow. Yeah. What a downer, dude.
It was a downer.
I mean on our list progression. No.
Yeah, it was.
Song's fine.
The song. No, I need to get it out there because
yes,
Green Day. That basically, if you're getting a Green Day request, you're getting either they slow one or. Because American Idiot has gotten a little bit of play as a newer song, but when I get people asking for Green Day, they're usually looking for the older Basket Cases. What I've had.
Right. No, that's a good. I mean, as far as a Green Day song, a rock song, that's the right one to play. You can kind of dance to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you can dance to a Ramones song, you can dance to that.
And if you're drunk enough, you can make anything work.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm going to go 1998, and this is almost like the beginning of the millennium for me. I mean, this is where the game changed. This is where I kind of could see the future. I knew it was going on.
You were
when I heard this.
Better watch
and today, I can say we're still in that thing. I don't think it's changed. We're still there, and that's Praise You by Fatboy Slim.
Oh, yes.
It's a great right crowd, whatever. You got to have the right crowd, but it's a winner.
Now, this is a song that you took apart.
Yes.
Or you created that.
I did a what do I call them? I reconstructed it from the original sample.
There we go. Because that was a very
part of it.
Very
not
cool.
The whole thing. It's a nightmare to do the whole thing. There's all kinds of weird tracks in there. There's songs like the Fat Albert theme song is in there. It's weird, and I can hear it when I'm listening for it. But the man is amazing. Amazing. If you want to see something interesting, look on YouTube at some of his Brighton Beach shows that he does. They're these shows that he does where he's DJing. He's attracting crowds of like, I don't know, 50,000, 100,000 people on this
Wow.
beach, and he's just jamming, and it's really good. Yeah, he's quite a guy. Got a lot of respect for Fatboy Slim.
Yeah. Yeah. And I enjoyed the video where you recreated part of the all that work for like 16 beats.
Yeah, yeah. It was Camille Yarbrough's "Take Your Praises," and it was some really weird like JVC sample record.
Mm-hmm.
They're recreating a track. I think it was
Oh, it was.
Captain America or something like that. I have to go back and look, but yeah, it's interesting, real interesting reconstruct. It's hard. It's right up there with like Mars Pump Up the Volume. It's like, where do you start, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or S Express's theme from S Express. There's so many samples you don't know where to start, but yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah, it was a neat one.
What you got next?
I'm going to go with another must-have, which from Tag Team, early 90s, with Whoop There It Is.
Nice.
Just a
It wasn't even on my list.
classic
Good
tune
one.
you've got to have in the collection because it can be dropped in. Crowd knows it. They're going to have the people. Yeah, it just goes over really,
South.
really well. Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead did their own little version on the couch as they're watching the video that goes, "Whoop, here's my butt," something like that.
See, now I'm going to have to go look for that
Awesome
one.
at the time, like, yes.
Now I'm going to have to go find that one.
Whoop, here's my butt.
Yeah.
I've got one from 1994, DJ Miko and "What's Up."
I had that on my list, and as I was paring down, I ended up pulling that one off.
I get requests for it.
Yeah.
I get people who want it, specifically that.
Mm-hmm.
And that has the same energy as Nikki French's "Total Eclipse of the Heart."
Mm-hmm.
If you remember that one.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. That was one I was debating about keeping or taking, and I pulled it off. Let's see. Well, you can't be doing group wedding dance things from that late 90s, early 2000s without having the Macarena in your arsenal.
you keep taking them off my top, man.
I'm sorry. Okay, fine. I should have gone.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I want you to keep going. Macarena's a good one, and that came back. It was gone for a long time.
Yep.
People didn't want to hear it. And then all of a sudden, it's okay again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I found anyway.
Yeah.
And that song's like, what, 95? The Bayside Boys mix?
Yes. I think there's a couple of different. What did they came out with it 3 or 4 different times, I believe.
But the Bayside Boys remix is the one that is popular.
Yeah, and that was the one that was in the like somewhere in that 93, 94, 95, somewhere in that ballpark.
95.
Yeah, and then they
came out on a CD called Club Cuts.
And then there was an additional one that they came out with in the early 2000s, a little bit different edit, and it wasn't actually the worst edit, but the video was actually a little bit easier to play than the other one.
Really?
And they didn't have I think the biggest thing with it was, now that I'm talking about it, they didn't have her singing about her cheating on her boyfriend or what have you. So the song could actually be used in youth events.
Sure. Right.
But by then everyone
didn't care.
Everyone
I
knew.
can say if they do something horrible because of a song that I played, they were idiots anyway.
Is
that wrong of me to say
natural
that?
selection.
I'm a father and I say that.
It needs to happen. Let natural selection happen.
Natural selection needs to happen. We're interfering with nature by not playing these songs.
Exactly. Excuse me while I go through up.
Next up, I have one that's actually one of my. I like the song. I don't care what you think of me after I tell you that I like the song, but I do. And I've been playing it a lot the last couple of years, and it's getting a fantastic response. And that's "Everybody" by the Backstreet Boys.
Good.
What happens is they ask for NSYNC's "Bye Bye Bye," which incidentally is 2000, and I'll play it. And I think to myself, "Everybody" by the Backstreet Boys was a much better song.
And it fits.
I'm going to follow it up. I'm going to follow up "Bye Bye Bye" with "Everybody Backstreet's Back."
Mm-hmm.
And the place goes nuts.
Yeah.
I go from a decent crowd to like an insane great crowd. So that's on my list for one that must have. One of my secret weapons. If you don't have it, you're going to live. But if you want to have a cool tool in your arsenal to one up those requests, that's a really good one to have.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to go to a couple of personal favorites, and this I'm going to rattle off. I'm going to put 3 together because none of these are dance songs. Collective Soul, "Shine," from
Oh wow.
1993.
Mm-hmm.
Firehouse with "Don't Treat Me Bad," which could be getting to the point of being a danceable rock song because it's a little
Right.
bit more of
Almost. Yeah.
almost. And then the last one, which is certainly not, this is just another one I enjoyed, was excuse me, from the Wallflowers, "One Headlight."
Yeah. That's a nice song.
Yeah, just one that I just enjoy listening to, kind of like the couple of the ones we mentioned earlier. So,
Wasn't there somebody in the Wallflowers? Wasn't that like Bob Dylan's kid who
yep,
was in
yep,
that?
there was his lead
Yeah.
singer, and I couldn't remember his name, and I was thinking it's like, oh, I was gonna look that up today, but yeah, his son was the lead, and
Like
it, I
Todd. I don't know. Todd Dylan. I don't
and
know.
there's and it's like you haven't heard anything from them,
No.
just kind of went.
No. Well, I only have two more on my list I'm going to mention because I gave you all my other ones.
Yeah, I've taken half of them for you, so you're welcome.
No. I only put 8 on my favorites list. I only put 8 on there. And the last two on my list, the one of them is like it's a club classic, and I play it every week. I usually play it kind of between dinner and dancing, like as they're breaking tables down or whatever. It's like a hype song I play, and that's JD's "Plastic Dreams" from 1992. That is a cut.
I have
That
not.
is a song that established 90s dance floors right there. It's probably the most popular club tune of all time is "Plastic Dreams" by JD. And John's looking to be confused. Look it up.
I am. I'm gonna be. That's another one.
It's a good one.
I've never. I don't think I've ever played that one.
It's wonderful.
Uh,
And you've heard samples from it.
oh, I'm sure.
It's I think it's a DJ from, I believe, Denmark who did it, but it's an amazing tune. And it turned up on a CD called "Welcome to the Future." When we all were going, we're not going to use vinyl anymore. We're going to use CDs now. It was really hard to find some of these tracks on the CD, but there was a CD compilation called "Welcome to the Future." The original, like 10-minute and 21-second version, was on that CD. So I played it in clubs a lot. And last but not least, "Around the World" by Daft Punk, 1997. That song, when I first heard it, it was like one of those, oh wow.
Yeah. Yes.
This is interesting because it's housey. It's French housey because it's bouncy.
Mhm.
French house is bouncy like that. Boom, 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 boom. It's bouncy. Regular house is boom, boom, boom. So it's a little different. And then it had this vocal that was like Roger Troutman and Zapp, like more bounce to the out. It's like around the way. It's like, whoa, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Cool fusion. And I heard it on B96 for the first time. We went to Illinois. We were shopping for, I think, a baby crib because my ex was pregnant with my daughter. And I heard this track as I was pulling into the mall, and I'm parked, and she's like, "Why aren't you getting out of the car?" I was like, "You get out of the car. I'm listening to this song." And then, right, just go on, and I'll be in a minute. I got to hear the rest of the song. This is an amazing song.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we were pulling out, they played it again. I was lucky. I got to hear the whole thing. And I bought it immediately. It was July of 1997 is when I bought that.
Interesting.
So favorite. And that whole album is magical. Own it. Know it. Daft Punk's Homework is one of the best albums of all time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Some really cool stuff. I'm looking through here to see if there's anything else that
I have a couple.
I've got a couple on now. I'm just went to the other list to see where I'm at. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple more of from my favorite list.
Okay.
That I'm going to give you some of the upbeat ones, and then we're going to get off this list.
Right.
1996, Gina G with "Ooh Ah," just a little bit.
It's a fun little song.
Fun song, and it's kind of upbeat. That little pop feel to it.
It's a nice song.
Nice song, and she's got a decent video that you can use. Jennifer Lopez had "Let's Get Loud" in the late 90s. And that was probably for a while my second go-to song for introductions of Wedding Party was the "Let's Get Loud," because it has kind of a cool beginning that kind of builds up a little bit, and then it gets into the driving beat of. So if you're looking for a song and you haven't used "Let's Get Loud" for an introduction, it definitely could be something to check out.
That's a good one.
And then the last one that's in that more upbeat, to my personal favorite, is "Bizarre Inc." I'm Gonna Get You.
I'm Gonna Get You. Nice song. What year is that?
92.
92. Nice song.
Those are some of my upbeat. I've got some other ones here, and all these lists will be uploaded below, so you guys can get the chance to look at those. I've seen some people talking, and I've had a couple of people message also that they've taken our list, Brian, and they've gone and basically what they didn't own, they bought.
They bought. Here's one you can. Well, it doesn't matter. This is a personal favorite, but it's not on my list. But now that you mentioned Bizarre Inc., the one I used to follow up with Bizarre Inc. was a track by Lolita Holloway called "I'm Gonna Catch You."
Hmm.
It's kind of a neat song. It's almost the same vibe. It's a little slower and it's a little more jammy sounding. I don't know how to describe it. The vocals are outrageous. It's kind of a cross between Black Box and Bizarre Inc.
Hmm.
It's an interesting tune. Lolita Holloway, um, uh, I'm gonna catch you.
Yeah,
Is the
I'll
name
have
of
to
the song.
check that one out if
I
not.
used to mix it in with that one.
Cool. You had a couple more in the must-haves.
I have a couple more.
Let's get through the. We'll get pop through those and then wrap it
Okay,
on
do
up here.
you have any more?
I've got a few. Yep.
Okay, I have literally a few. I have that we haven't already talked about.
Yep. Yep.
Crap, I have three.
Okay. Let me start then, and then we'll go. I'll.
Okay.
I've got, Boyz II Men, Motown Philly.
All right.
A song that when you get people, they're going to look for two things from Boyz II Men. They're looking for a slow song, which can be a variety of slow songs from Boyz II Men, but Motown
Right.
Philly is probably the one that would fit into that. I'm drawing it. Poison from Belle Biv DeVoe. You called that
New Jack Swing.
New Jack Swing. It kind of all fit into
Yes,
that
New
time
Jack
frame.
Swing. Right, and it was just a minute. I mean, New Jack wasn't something that went on and on forever. It was like a year or two. Tony Tone was in there. A lot of those acts kind of qualified. Uh, Color Me Bad, I think you could consider New Jack.
Mm-hmm.
A couple acts like that. It was kind of the vibe for a minute.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with one that won't go away, and I used to want it to go away, and now I'm happy that it hasn't. It's a tune that everyone knows. Now they know it because it's been around for 18 years. And I didn't realize it was an 18-year-old song until I was like looking. I'm like, yeah, I guess the song's 18. Everybody knows it. A lot of people hate on it. A lot of people say, why do you play that song? Stop playing that song. And I'll argue, wait, no, hold on a minute. Everyone knows it and everyone likes it. And I get a positive reaction from it. So I play it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's was Crispo's Suavemente from 1998.
Yes, that is. I did not have that on my list.
Yes.
That
I heard the song for the first time around the same time I met Blanca when I was doing the Latin clubs in 2003. I was doing like the salsa merengue thing and hitting on Puerto Rican chicks. And then I started DJing at the Latin clubs and playing that. But I didn't know it existed until then. But yeah, it was 1998 was that song came out.
wow, that I didn't think. I thought it was. I would put that a little bit later than that. I thought it was early 2000s.
98.
Okay. 1992, House of Pain with Jump Around.
Oh, you just took one of mine.
Oh,
It's okay. It's only got one left now.
no, we're done. Oh no.
No, I got one left.
They think the House of Pain. If you look at the video, I swear that looks like a early 80s video. The way it's shot, it just looks so rough and everything with that. And it's just a bunch of It looks like a bunch of college kids out there having a party and having a good time.
Those cats are Irish.
So they drink a little bit.
House of Pain's Irish. Big clover on the cover. That tune turned up in a lot of movies that kids watch. And we joked around a little bit about it earlier, about the kids I never leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
They don't leave the house anymore. Kids don't leave the house.
Yeah.
You know, there's a kid outside playing and like called the cops. Oh, he's a free range child. What does that mean? He went outside and played by himself. Yeah, I went outside with a stick all the time and just did stuff.
Where are that child's parents? They need to be watching.
Yeah. Kids stay inside now and they need something to babysit them. So why not a DVD?
Mm-hmm.
Why not a family-friendly DVD? Why not Mrs. Doubtfire? That's got Jump Around in it. So kids know that song from the movie Mrs. Doubtfire. They know it from gym class because they'll play in gym and have the kid jump up and down.
Yeah, just to get them moving.
So it's not going away. It's here. It's here to stay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so since that was yours, let me do another one then, and then we'll get to your last one. Brian's Jump, Jive, and Wail. Brian Setzer. You didn't have that one.
Yes.
Okay, you just want to make sure that wasn't your last song.
Stray Cats.
Yep.
guy
Yep.
doing a
Then
solo thing, the swing thing that lasted for 30
it
seconds.
lasted for 30 seconds, but when you have a person or people in a crowd that want to swing dance, which occasionally you will find there's people who took swing classes because they wanted to be
Yeah.
cool at their wedding, this will get you there. So it needs to be in your collection.
Right. And what was the other band that did that for a minute? Was it Squirrel Nut Zippers?
Cherry Poppin' Daddies.
Cherry Pop and Daddy and Squirrel Nut Zippers.
I don't remember Squirrel Nut.
Squirrel Nut Zippers did it too. They did swing. So Cherry Pop and Daddy's, Brian Setzer Orchestra, and whatever the other one was. Yeah, those are the ones
yeah.
that you can do. And that was a big thing. Everybody was taking swing classes
Yeah.
for a minute. It was, what about late 90s?
Yeah,
right?
late 90s. Yep.
Yeah.
They were popular. And occasionally, I think it was like 2 years ago, I had a couple that went and took some swing classes so they could dance
Right.
at their
So
wedding.
you'll have some bonehead. Hey, we took swing classes. Well, here you go.
It's like, yeah, so what do you want? Okay, we'll put this in. And it's like, oh, that wasn't really swing classes you took. It was more like how to assault her on a dance floor class.
Right. Ballroom
You're going to
debauchery.
beat her to death, poor woman.
This is not my number one song from the 90s. This is just the last one that I have on my list
we
because
probably
Sean
ate that up
cashed in
long
all my
ago.
good stuff early on. This one's from 1999. This one has legs. I play this at school dances. I played occasionally at weddings. Bars, it definitely gets played. You play this at the top of a set. You play this at the end of the night. You don't play this and follow it up with anything because it's not going to work out for you very well. And that's Darude's Sandstorm from 1999.
Now, there are different edits of Sandstorm. Lots of edits out there of that.
Okay.
And there's just things that DJs have made. And some of them are pretty decent. Some of them are horrible edits. I don't know if I've ever, and I went and was looking for a different version of Sandstorm. I was looking actually for a music video, but did a search on one of these. It was a bootleg music video site.
Sure.
There were like 75 different versions of Sandstorm that people had edited and put together. It was
Play the British radio edit.
It's like it was incredible, all the different things. But yeah,
He's from Helsinki, Finland. I know somebody who knows him. Like a guy who I went to school with knew him or knows him. Didn't like him very much either. But he had that song. There was another one called Feel the Beat that I actually preferred to Sandstorm, but nobody knows it. But yeah, that tune's not going away.
Yeah, exactly that.
Between Fatboy Slim, that, and Madison Avenue, it was kind of like, all right, here comes the millennial. I know what it's going to look like now.
Mm-hmm.
We talked, again, we talked about earlier in the show or earlier in this series, we talked about, okay, the 60s ended here, the 70s ended here, the 80s began here. Either the 80s went long into the 90s, or the 90s started early, I don't know which.
Mm-hmm.
And it came out kind of the same way. Either the millennium started early or the 90s went long. Little bit, the lines are blurred now. It's not like it used to be. It's not as abrupt and in your face as it used to be as far as where this music falls into. You could play me a song easily, a song I've never heard before. You could play it to me and say, yeah, this song came out last week, and I wouldn't question you because it doesn't sound much different than what's happening right now. There hasn't been these drastic changes.
Yeah, very much.
They're very subtle.
Yeah.
Very subtle. You really have to know what you're listening for in a lot of songs. Like if you hear a lot of auto-tune, it's late 90s, early 2000s because that was big.
That was a huge thing.
Things like that, but otherwise, I mean, obvious auto-tune, like Cher Believe auto-tune, just like.
And she can sing.
We're not trying to fool anybody auto-tune.
Yeah, we're just gonna put it up there, bold letters. Oh, cool stuff.
But yeah, it's like the 90s never ended, man. I feel like we're still there.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there was ever a cutoff point where something else started. We're still there. We still have rock. We still have dance music. We still have hip hop. It's the same. It's just, small, subtle changes, throughout, I would say probably, the last 25 years. But this is modern music.
Yeah, very much so.
The 90s is modern music to me.
Yeah,
because of that.
Very much.
And it works well with new stuff. That's what's so cool about it. You can play the old stuff, and it works well with the new stuff. So you have this huge contemporary catalog you can play from now.
Mm-hmm.
You could have not listened to the radio for 2 years, and you can still go to most gigs, and you could totally get by because the music just has staying power now that it didn't used to have.
Yeah, really. You could start out with the things you knew, and if you took a couple of requests and knew enough how to blend those in. At the end of the
Hmm.
night, they would be like, "Oh, you're the greatest DJ with your new music." Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, sure,
this was not the case in the old days,
yeah,
but it's what we got now. But no, 90s, a decade that I really look down on, I guess, as a whole. But again, if I look at it, if I look at individual little movements in the 90s and songs and things like that, solid.
yeah,
And a lot of my favorite music came from that decade.
yeah.
And there's entire genres from the 90s that I love and I haven't even talked about in this show.
And that was.
Oh, well, a lot of the house music stuff, that
Hmm.
came out. Uh, I didn't even talk about that stuff. A lot of the French, like the real clubby stuff, the British top 40 stuff, I didn't talk about, and I
Yeah,
love that stuff. When music, and be proud of me, John. We're under 2 hours if we end soon,
yeah, exactly.
but
We'll be wrapping it up, and we'll keep it under 2 here.
shortly. But when the whole Nirvana thing hit and all the rock hit and all the dance music went away, as a club DJ, I started reverting back to the 80s stuff. I started digging deep into the import stuff
Yeah,
too. And that's where I found a lot of cool music, stuff that maybe wasn't particularly huge here, but we would play it and get it in rotation. It would get popular, and we would actually have floor fillers, and we wouldn't have to play spin doctors all the time.
hmm,
So good stuff. A lot of good stuff in the 90s. If you dig deep, as a whole, you look at it, it's like, okay, yeah, whatever, but there's good stuff there.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, cool. I
And we're
think we're
taking
just
off
gonna.
next week because you're in Vegas.
Yeah, we're gonna be in Vegas doing the Mobile Beach show, having a great time down there, doing all sorts of live stuff from there. So,
Mm.
and I don't know exactly, if we don't have internet, there won't be anything for shows. So
Well, in 2 weeks from now, we'll do a show on
we'll
something.
do so. Yeah, we'll talk. We'll message back and forth and kind of figure out what we'll do in a
We'll figure it out.
couple of weeks, because I still want to try a couple of things where we can actually play some of the samples. And I've had some people throw out some ideas that I haven't had a chance to talk to you about yet. So we'll run
Right
those.
on.
We'll run those through.
In the
So,
meantime, I know you guys are smart. You can YouTube stuff. You can Google stuff. You can hear it. We give you the name. We give you a list down here in the description of the video on YouTube. Find them and look them up. I'm enjoying doing these shows, by the way. I'm having a lot of fun. A bit of prep work, but worth it.
yeah.
And really and having fun, John.
Yeah, good stuff. I've enjoyed our chats and conversations, and sometimes when I feel like I'm completely lost and oblivious to music, and and people are like, "You need to study." It's like, dude, I lived
No, you're
it.
doing
I
fine,
lived
John.
it. It's just it's just a difference in geography, and it's not even that far of a difference, but how things just weren't on my radar that were on your radar. It's just it just really is an interesting
Well, it's all boils down
dynamic.
to personal taste too. I mean, there's
Yeah,
certain things we need to have to do what we do.
yeah,
But then there's personal taste stuff, and as often as possible, I love to take my personal tastes and work them into what I do for a living when I can. I don't
hmm,
force it, but when I can, I love to do it. And I know you do too. I mean, you mentioned that that there are things that you're doing up there. You talked about doing an entire country show on the 90s.
yeah.
Now, I'm not even the guy to bring in for that show because I gave you every country song for the 90s I know in this show,
You just had those.
which is this much,
Yeah.
just enough to be dangerous. And if somebody says, "Hey, do you have any country?" I'm like, "Yeah, here's Boot Scoot Boogie. Shut up.
Yep. Enjoy it.
Here's Friends in Low Places. Here's Shania Twain. Leave me alone. We're having a party here." So, but you know that I don't know that. So we all
Yeah.
have our strengths and weaknesses with that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's unfortunately when you did a country night and you did that for about 5 years in a row every Wednesday night. And
And,
yeah, you kind of learn
man,
because these people with cowboy boots are mean if you don't know your music.
you must have needed the money.
Yeah. Well,
Let me tell you something. I will go play in a bar in the South Side of Chicago any given night of the week before I go to a redneck bar in 30 miles outside of Milwaukee, because I don't trust those people. I can't reason with crazy. I can't. So I got nothing to do with them. When I start hearing things like that on the jukebox, I get really nervous. I know I'm in the wrong place. If I go into a bar and I see a pool table and a dartboard, I know I'm in the wrong place and I run. I go turn around and run the other way because this is dangerous. I don't know how to reason with people in this.
I'm in a territory that's
Mm,
good
yeah,
stuff.
scary.
Let's wrap it up, Brian. Yeah, we'll be gone next week. We'll figure out what will be the week after. If you guys have any questions, comments, and such, the comments are going to be disappearing on the right side, so don't ask any more questions there. If you have anything, please go down into the comments below the video. Should take about 15 minutes before that gets up there. So we're about 10 o'clock now, Central Time. So a little bit later, put those comments and questions down there, and we'll be able to see those. Jeez, it's warm enough. There's bugs in the house. Yeah, so put those down there. We appreciate that. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Really
Thank you
appreciate
so much for watching.
But once again, this is Brian Red, John Young. We're out. Good night.